The story of David and Goliath is far more than a tale of an underdog victory. It's a profound narrative packed with spiritual lessons for believers. Let's dive into its deeper meaning. First, let's set the scene. The Philistines and the Israelites were at war, camped on opposing hills in the valley of Elah. For 40 days, a towering Philistine champion named Goliath, a giant armed with formidable bronze and iron, stepped forward, challenging Israel to send a man to fight him. The outcome of this single combat would decide the war. Goliath's presence alone was enough to paralyze the entire Israelite army, including King Saul himself. His boasts and threats struck fear into the hearts of hardened warriors. Their training, their numbers, their armor, none of it mattered against the sheer terror Goliath inspired. This highlights a crucial point. When we rely on our own strength, even our best is insufficient against overwhelming odds. Enter David, a young shepherd boy sent by his father to deliver supplies to his brothers on the battlefield. David, fresh from the pastures, heard Goliath's taunts and was indignant. He didn't see an unconquerable giant. He saw an uncircumcised Philistine defying the armies of the living God. David's past experience, defending his flock from lions and bears, had instilled in him not arrogance, but a deep, unwavering trust in God's power. He knew it was not by his might, but by God's hand that he had overcome these beasts. When David offered to fight Goliath, King Saul was skeptical, seeing only a boy against a seasoned warrior, but David's conviction, rooted in his faith, was unshakable. He refused Saul's heavy armor, knowing it would hinder him. Instead, he chose 5 smooth stones from the stream and his simple shepherd's sling. This wasn't a reckless act. It was an act of profound faith. Choosing God's simple, divinely empowered means over man's cumbersome wisdom. The confrontation was dramatic. Goliath scoffed at David, seeing him as an insult. But David, without fear, declared, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin. But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." With that, David ran toward Goliath, slung a stone, and struck the giant on his forehead. Goliath fell face down to the ground. David then took Goliath's own sword and killed him, cutting off his head. Seeing their champion fallen, the Philistines fled in disarray, pursued by the now courageous Israelites. This powerful narrative offers several core spiritual lessons for believers. First, it teaches us about God's strength versus man's strength. The battle wasn't David's, it was the Lord's. We often face giants in our lives: fear, addiction, illness, financial hardship. This story reminds us that these battles are not fought in our own strength, but in the power and authority of God. Second, it's a testament to faith over fear. David's unwavering faith empowered him to act where others were paralyzed by fear. When we surrender our fears to God, He enables us to step out in courage, knowing He is with us. Third, the story illustrates humility versus pride. Goliath's pride led to his downfall. David's humility and reliance on God led to his triumph. God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Fourth, it reveals God's calling and purpose. God often uses the most unlikely individuals to accomplish His greatest works. David was just a shepherd, yet God had a mighty purpose for him. No matter how small or insignificant we feel, God can use us for His glory. Fifth, we see the power of the Holy Spirit. It was not David's skill alone, but God working through him that brought down Goliath. As believers, we are empowered by the Holy Spirit to overcome obstacles and live victorious lives. Finally, David and Goliath also foreshadows Christ as the ultimate victor. Just as David, an unlikely champion, defeated the enemy of Israel, Jesus Christ, seemingly vulnerable on the cross, defeated sin, death, and the devil, the ultimate enemies of humanity. His victory brings us freedom and salvation. Let us carry these truths in our hearts. With God, no giant is too big to fall.